The EU negotiates here. NATO issues commands from here. Brussels is the control center of the West, but the country around it, Belgium, can't even agree on its own language, and often goes months, sometimes years, without a functioning government, and lives in a constant state of internal division. So how did one of Europe's most fragile nations become the capital of European unity? Belgium's internal divisions run deep, primarily along linguistic lines. Language is the fundamental fault line of Belgian society. Flanders speaks Dutch and has a culture tied to the Dutch-speaking world, whereas Wallonia speaks French and aligns with Francophone culture. Historically, French-speaking Wallonia industrialized early and was the economic powerhouse with coal mines and steel mills, while Flanders was poor and agrarian. In the post-war era, this reversed. Wallonia's industries declined, and today Flanders is the most prosperous region, fueling Flemish pride and at times resentment of subsidizing Wallonia. There are entirely separate party systems of each language group. Flemish parties contest only in Flanders, French-speaking parties only in Wallonia. This has led to divergent political landscapes. For example, Flanders has seen powerful right-leaning separatist movements, while Wallonia leans more left-wing and socialist. In response to tensions, Belgium has evolved a complex federal system with multiple layers of government. Regional parliaments for Flanders, Wallonia, and Brussels, plus language community councils, all to give each group autonomy. These divisions have caused frequent political crises. Belgian national governments routinely collapse or take many months to form because Flemish and Walloon parties cannot agree on policy and power sharing. In one instance, after the 2007 elections, Belgium went a record 196 days without a federal government, as parties deadlocked over how to bridge the north-south divide. Many Belgians have grown accustomed to the dysfunction and simply carry on with local governance, suggesting that outside of politics, life in Belgium goes on smoothly. Surveys indicate most Belgians still prefer to keep the country together rather than formally divorce into two separate nations. They may identify more strongly as Flemish or Walloon, but there is also a shared interest in coexistence and compromise to maintain stability. Belgium's very existence has often been called an accident or a compromise, a state created in 1830 as a buffer between great powers, encompassing distinct peoples who never fully melded. It's been said that Belgium isn't a country, it's a compromise. If so, it is a compromise that has somehow endured nearly 2 centuries. This internally divided nation would come to play host to a bold experiment in continental unity. Historically, Belgium was better known as the battlefield of Europe, a land where great powers frequently clash. From Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815, to World War I's trenches, to World War II's battles and the German occupation, Belgian soil saw outsized turmoil for such a small country. The nation's founders in the 19th century declared Belgium a neutral state in hopes of avoiding such conflicts, but neutrality was violated in both world wars. By 1945, after experiencing invasion and liberation, Belgium was firmly convinced that lasting peace in Europe required cooperation and integration among nations. It was in the post-World War II period that Brussels' transformation from a war-torn crossroads to a diplomatic hub began. Belgium became a founding member of new international organizations aimed at uniting Europe and the West. This included the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, known as NATO, formed in 1949 to bind Western democracies in a military alliance, and the European Coal and Steel Community in 1951, the first step toward what is now the European Union. At first, these organizations did not immediately choose Brussels as their headquarters. NATO was headquartered in Paris, and early European community institutions were scattered. However, a sequence of events in the late 1950s and 1960s propelled Brussels to the forefront. By coincidence, Belgium held the first rotating presidency of the EEC in that inaugural semester, simply because Belgium comes first alphabetically among the member states. The Belgian government, sensing an opportunity, secured land in Brussels' European Quarter and built a large office complex specifically to house the EEC Commission. This proactive investment paid off. As Europe's institutions grew, they were already rooted in Brussels. From then on, a snowball effect took hold. The Council of Ministers moved into its own building near the Commission, and the European Parliament, while officially based in Strasbourg, began holding many committee sessions and some meetings in Brussels by the 1980s. Still, for decades, Brussels was never formally declared the sole capital. That ended in the 21st century. Beginning in 2004, all regular EU summits of leaders are held in Brussels. The Lisbon Treaty of 2007 created a permanent European Council based in Brussels, finally burying the rotating capital pretense. By 2016, a new Europa building opened in Brussels to host summits, cementing the city's status as the unquestioned political capital of the EU. Around the same time, Brussels also became the home of NATO under dramatic circumstances. In 1966, French President Charles de Gaulle withdrew France from NATO's integrated military command and told the alliance to leave all Paris headquarters. By 1967, NATO set up its headquarters in Brussels, literally operating out of prefabricated buildings on a muddy field. A temporary fix that wound up lasting over 50 years. Belgian leaders were happy to host. It boosted Brussels' profile as the capital of Europe and the transatlantic community, and poured investment and jobs into the local economy. Brussels today stands as a grand symbol of European unity, yet it resides in a country often not united. This irony is not lost on observers. The EU's gleaming offices in Brussels, meant to project unity and harmony across Europe, are literally built on soil where Belgians themselves are divided by language and politics. Belgium can be seen as a microcosm of the EU, multiple languages, multiple cultures, trying to live together under one system. Just as Europe struggles to forge consensus among French, Germans, Italians, Poles, and many others, Belgium struggles to reconcile Flemish and Walloon interests. In both cases, unity is a constant negotiation. Brussels teaches us about the unpredictable paths of power in modern politics. No one in 1900 could have predicted that a middling city in a newly formed country would, by 2000, hold more political clout than centuries-old imperial capitals. In the 21st century, power is not only about military might or population size. Institutional power is what matters. Brussels became powerful not by conquering others, but by convening others. In the heart of a fractured country, Europe found a home, proving that unity can be built not on uniformity, but on a shared vision for a better future pieced together atop old divisions. Brussels, in all its complexity, stands as living proof that from this unity can emerge a stronger union. Thanks for watching.